Now it's time for Lefties Losing It, and I'll be bringing you a new low for the mainstream media and their deranged hatred of Donald Trump. You would not believe what a CBS anchor said on air, and she still has a job. But let's ease our way into Lefties Losing It by checking in on the woman who almost became the leader of the free world, the woman the media tried to tell us was a competent and visionary leader, an orator. Yes, it's Kamala time.
For those rights to be maintained, which means we have to be vigilant, and it's just the nature of it.
Oh, I'm not sure if that's Kamala time or happy hour. The former Veep appears to be unburdened by sobriety, allegedly. She was in New York to visit the cast of A Wonderful World on Broadway, and she explains here it was a rare outing. She doesn't get out much nowadays.
I don't get out much these days. But we wanted so much to see this before you guys left. It's my first trip to New York actually since the campaign. And I wanted to come to see you all before the show left. And this was so beautiful. And it just had such depth and soul and all the nuances.
Such depth and soul. But you know, it wouldn't be a Kamala word salad without some inspiring words of wisdom.
It's just the nature of it. Look this beautiful play. And it doesn't mean we don't see the beauty in everything, right? Yeah. These things all coexist. Yeah. But I believe we fight for something, not against something.
Yes, clear eyes, full hearts, can't lose. Well, not quite sure about the clear eyes part there. But let's move on to one of the most disgraceful performances from a news anchor that you'll ever see. Face the Nation host Margaret Brennan, fresh from being humiliated by JD Vance, was interviewing Secretary of State Mark Rubio, and she actually claimed that the Holocaust was caused by free speech. This is not only offensively stupid and historically ignorant, but it shows just how demented the leftist media have become.
He was standing in a country where free speech was weaponized to conduct a genocide. And he met with the head of a political party that has far-right views and some historic ties to extreme groups. The context of that was changing the tone of it. And you know that the censorship was specifically about the right.
No, I have to disagree with you. Free speech was not used to conduct a genocide. The genocide was conducted by an authoritarian Nazi regime that happened to also be genocidal because they hated Jews and they hated minorities and they hated those that they had a list of people they hated, but primarily the Jews. There was no free speech in Nazi Germany. There was none. There was also no opposition in Nazi Germany. They were a sole and only party that governed that country. So that's not an accurate reflection of history.
Free speech was weaponized to conduct a genocide. That's what she said, word for word. Margaret Rubio corrected her, gave her historical facts to counter her, frankly, insane propaganda, but he was far too polite. When someone says something that spectacularly stupid, they need to be put in their place. And I mentioned JD Vance humiliating Margaret Brennan just a few weeks ago. Let's take a little look at my two favourite moments from that interview. Here, JD Vance wipes that smug look off her face.
Well, this is a country founded by immigrants.
Well, this is a country founded by...
This is
a very unique country, and it was founded by some immigrants and some settlers. But just because we were founded by immigrants doesn't mean that 240 years later that we have to have the dumbest immigration policy in the world.
And here, JD Vance gives birth to a new meme. I don't really care, Margaret.
We absolutely cannot unleash thousands of unvetted people into our country.
These people are vetted.
Good.
These people are vetted.
Just like the guy who planned a terrorist attack in Oklahoma a few months ago, he was allegedly properly vetted, and many people in the media and the Democratic Party said that he was properly vetted. Clearly he wasn't. I don't want my children to share a neighborhood with people who are not properly vetted, and because I don't want it for my kids, I'm not going to force any other American citizens' kids to do that either.
No, and that was a very particular case. It wasn't clear if he was radicalized when he got here or while he was living here.
I don't really care, Margaret. I don't want that person in my country, and I think most Americans agree with me.
I think that interview broke Margaret Brennan's tenuous grip on reality, because she's now claiming that free speech in Nazi Germany caused the Holocaust. Now, moving along, I do love it when TDS sufferers like Bill Maher have to admit that President Trump is not only highly effective, but is now cool. This must have hurt.
Here's how bad the Democrats up. Trump is cool now. He's not just the most powerful guy in the world and just made himself like the richest. He's actually kind of at 78.
Yes.
I mean, rappers like him. Yeah. The athletes are doing, I was making fun of him, two guys at one time. And now he owns it, and they're doing it. I mean, the Village People are gay for Trump now.
The Village People are gay for Trump now. The cultural shift in the US is real, and it's big. And it's touched another former TDS sufferer, Stephen A. Smith.
What voter out there can look at the Democratic Party at this moment in time and say, there's a voice for us, somebody that speaks for us, that goes up on Capitol Hill and fights the fights that we want them fighting on our behalf? They didn't do that. And that's why their behinds are home, and that man is back into the White House. And they want to sit up there and talk. You look at the networks right now, they're talking about, look at it, this is the latest, look at him, here he goes again. Well, you know what here he goes again means? He's doing what he said he was going to do. He promised you he was going to do these things, and he walked into office week one, and that's exactly what he's doing. And he's saying, y'all do something about it. And when you try to do something about it, he's going to say, look at them now. Now they're concerned about these issues. Were they talking about that during the campaign? Hell no.
And trigger warning for the lefties, the polls are showing the American people back Donald Trump's key policies despite the 24/7 media hysteria and lies. Here is ABC News actually reporting facts. It leaves the Democrats' Hakeem Jeffries lost for words.
Donald Trump's favorability rating is actually higher than it ever was the first time around. Let me ask you, a recent poll by Marquette looked at several of the things that he has done or says that he is going to do, and 63% favor federal government's recognition of only two sexes, 60% favor deporting immigrants who entered the United States illegally, 60% favor expanding oil and gas production, 59% favor declaring an emergency at the southern border. Is there anything you are seeing that Trump is doing that you are in favor of, that you think is the right thing?
Let me say, as it relates to all of those issues, we're just at the beginning.